All right, guys, welcome today to the information session about BeachCoders partnership with Cal State University, Dominguez Hills, with regards to the web dev and user experience design track. Now, this presentation we're not going to get into specifics of the classwork per se. We really want to get an overview about what it is this type of training will mean for an individual in today's world. So whatever you guys are doing professionally or what you're thinking about, when we talk about training, we talk about schools, we really thinking of an outcome. Does that make sense? That thinking of what you're going to do afterward, what you're going to do with it, what's going to happen for you. I'm James DeCicco. I'm the founder of BeachCoders Academy, and we're really excited about being able to take our private organizational partnership and bring it here to Cal State and the program that we've developed that has been so welcomed by the professional community in the tech world, both here in Silicon Beach and in Silicon Valley. So getting back to the concept of what you would do with the training afterward, okay? And just, you could put down your notes and everything for a minute. I just want you to imagine for a minute your perfect day. So let's just, and we do this a lot of times with our admissions process. People will come to us and they'll say, I'm concerned, I don't know if I should do this or not. And what will really help them through that is we'll say, imagine you went through the school, you went through the class, everything was perfect. Everything went perfect. And now you have the skills that you wanted or whatever, capabilities. And now you have the job, you have the experience that you want. It's just afterward everything. We ask them to describe their perfect day. And we get things like this. We get images of people relaxed, doing work. You can see it's a little strange to have the laptop on the beach, but similar type of thing. Here's an image of what we would call a digital nomad. These are people who are traveling and being able to, this person's running a blog, but it could also be coding work. There's a lot of remote coding work available, and that's an international capability. Actually, if we go back to that, I don't know, what is that, like Istanbul or something? Yeah, very cool. In the morning, they've got that looks delicious, right? And what a great office space. There's another one maybe down in Costa Rica or something, hanging out and doing the work. And this is very real for a lot of people who enjoy this kind of thing. Many times people will share the story that they go to work at their own time, they work on their project, they enjoy their teammates, they come home, they play with their dog, they have dinner, they have some recreation. But at the end of their story of their perfect day, they always say, oh yeah, and I travel. They always add that piece that they travel. So let's talk about a little bit of the type of work environment. Now, think about where you work now, where you work today, and what the office looks like and what the vibe is like. Even at Apple, you're saying, I don't know if it looks like this right now. There's a new campus and everything, so it's probably very cool. But these are some campuses around the world and in Los Angeles. This is LinkedIn's lounge and workspace. Here's another one I think it's for LinkedIn. And of course, this is YouTube in Culver City. I don't know, there's a big slide there. I mean, basically a very relaxed environment and a lot of creative type of energy, a lot of free space, a lot of a relaxed dress code. It's a whole different kind of vibe of work, and a lot of diversity, a lot of inclusion. And the beauty of this is that when we think about it, this is building certainty. When you think about taking a class, spending money, spending time, right? It's about that you're doing the right thing, that this is going to matter for you. Does that make sense? And so just to drive it home, these snapshots were taken yesterday of the average base salary here for front-end developer off of Built in LA, basically 93,000. Now remember, this is the average. So here we see min and max, and we're seeing those numbers I've watched these numbers climb by say 10% every year in the last 2 years. So the demand is increasing. When we started in 2015, the prediction was 1.5 million jobs unfilled by 2020. By the next year, the new prediction revised was 2 million jobs unfilled by 2020. We're just about at 2020. And I'm sure there's even more jobs that are going unfilled. Why? Because more and more companies are adopting more and more digital technology. I mean, you try and think about one company that doesn't have a capability to buy their products online. That's e-commerce. If you've heard that term e-commerce, and that's front-end web development. Here is user experience designer salary. Same thing, in the high 5 figures, almost into the 6 figures as the median salary here in Los Angeles. Look, these are good salaries, and a lot of these, you're starting at a good place, even with your entry level. So what is it? What exactly is it? And we'll talk a little bit about just the overview of it, that front-end dev is everything that you see on the screen, and we focus on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Those 3 pieces. From these 3 pieces of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can build everything on the web, on the front end. When we get into the UX piece, is more of the design area. So when we think about product design, when we think about application design, that's considered a product as well, whether it's a physical product. I know you're familiar with the hardware design of product. So it's the same type of thing. Your information architecture, user flows, identifying the user, building a persona of that user and how they're going to interact with your product or your software application, and all the surveys and research associated with that to really understand what the user's looking for, what they expect, and how to build a product that they're going to love. Now, you'd said that you've done stuff for Apple. Apple is a great example of user experience design because the Apple products come with no manual, right? You take it out of the box and there's no manual. So you just figure out, well, this is how I turn it on. There's only one button, right? So UX is all the non-coding pieces that go into play before you start coding. In an enterprise environment, you would have a graphic designer and a user experience designer working together with the client. So the client's saying, we want to build this app or we want to build this device. And the graphic designer or the industrial designer will work with the user experience designer to build all of the prototyping. With the software application, we call it wireframing. And there's a lo-fi wireframe. So when you see people drawing like a map on a whiteboard, that's a lo-fi. The hi-fi is the actual look of it, the finished look of it. There's the colors, the fonts, everything. From that gets passed over to a project manager and a lead developer who will work with a team of developers, junior developers, and each junior developer will be assigned to handle, let's say it's a large website for Nike. They could tell a junior developer to be like, okay, you're gonna do the men's sneakers part, and somebody else is gonna do the women's track shirts or something, and they'll just break it into pieces and then they all, give it back to the lead developer who's project managing the whole thing. A junior web developer is the capabilities from the classes that we're talking about here. User experience designer or junior web developer would be the capabilities that someone would emerge from this training to be able to step into the professional realm with. And from there, you're just building upon that. So yeah, the question is, well, can I do this? What we found is that people put a lot of energy, resistance, like, wow, this is so technical. It's coding, it's technology, it's computers. I don't know anything about it. But the truth is that coding and web development is really more like a sports metaphor, that you try something, and if it doesn't work, you try it again. You try it again. You change your approach. You try it again. Try it again. Because the good news is you can't break it. It's code. So the worst that's going to happen is the page is going to get messed up, and it might interact with something else that breaks. And that's what happens a lot of times, even with experienced coders, is that you'll have something working, and then you go to add another section, and then it breaks the first section. And so you just need to, just spend time on it. And it's not about memorizing a new language. It's not about memorizing a bunch of code. Most of the stuff, just about everything is online, and it's more about knowing the kind of things that you want to do in your approach, and then researching and copying and pasting the code and knowing how to put it and how to apply it, right? There's tons of libraries out there all of the JavaScript frameworks are actually just libraries of code, and you're cutting and pasting them in. And so, yeah, can you do this? Absolutely. Can you make sites that you see today, sites like Google, sites like Amazon? Absolutely. You can do all those things. And you don't have to invent it from scratch, and you don't have to memorize thousands and thousands of lines of code. Nobody does that. I still have to look up a basic href, I forget. Unless you do it every day to type it all out, and there's really no reason to do it. But you're gonna be a lot faster, a lot more accurate if you're actually cutting and pasting stuff in. The difference is, you know what to do with the code, you know what it looks like, you know where to put it, and you know what you're trying to do. And so the answer is a resounding yes, that you can do this. And all it takes is just applying to the course and sticking with it. Our next start date is September 9th, and all you need to do is apply here at the Bursars right next door, and I'll take any questions.